Hey everybody, my name is Ed. Okay, so we're going to do another trade review. This one is going to be Punisher Max Volume 2, Irish Kitchen, written by Garth Ennis, and the art is by Leandro Fernandez. This collects Punisher Max numbers 7 through 12. The material is originally from 2004. My physical copy is the 7th printing, which I think is from 2013. Okay, so Garth Ennis is well-known fan favorite comics writer from Northern Ireland. He broke into comics writing for British anthology magazine Crisis and Judge Dredd. He came to DC, began writing Hellblazer, quickly rose to fame, scripting the DC vertical titles such as Preacher and Hitman. Other notable work includes run on Midnighter Solo, Unknown Soldier miniseries, of course, Punisher, and Fury Max. Infamously, despite working for Marvel and DC Comics, the two biggest superhero publishers in the world, Garth is known for not being the greatest fan of most superheroes, as evidence for his The Boys series, which was a gross-out satire on superheroes, which has been turned into a successful streaming TV show. Okay, so The Punisher was created by Jerry Conway and Ross Andrew and John Romita Sr. and first appeared in Amazing Spider-Man around 1974. Some sort of hitman vigilante who's being manipulated by a supervillain named the Jackal. The Punisher gradually became a regular antagonist to superheroes like Spider-Man and Daredevil during the 70s and 80s, and the character partially tapped into the whole kind of cultural zeitgeist of rising real life crime during the 70s and movies. A sort of reaction to that, like Dirty Harry and Death Wish, but it was also very heavily influenced by the Mark Bolan Executioner paperback novel series that was coming out around the same time. Punisher really took off though during the 80s, where in America you kind of had this sort of return to conservatism and the kind of tough on crime rhetoric from politicians, and then the popularity of over the top action movies from stars like Sylvester Stallone and Steven Seagal and Arnold Schwarzenegger. Okay, so the Punishers had a variety of different miniseries and ongoing series over the last few decades. Sometimes it's been more superhero-y, sometimes it's been more street level crime. There's been a couple of times when they've taken the character in kind of a supernatural direction. Garth Ennis got involved right after one of those periods or phases. The Punisher was a supernatural character under Marvel's Marvel Knights emblem or line, and Garth moved him away from that, took him back to fighting mob bosses and gang members and drug dealers and things of that nature. Brought in a lot of dark humor, a lot of over the top violence, but the comic was still sort of set in the Marvel universe, so occasionally superheroes would pop up. But the fans really did respond to Garth's take on the character. Reportedly, Ennis wanted to remove Frank away from being surrounded by the superhero baggage of the Marvel Universe, and Marvel accommodated him by letting him in the Marvel Knights series and revamp Frank for Punisher Max. Ennis's work here is distinguished by a more grounded approach, and it leaned heavily into like black humor and ultra violence. The series quickly became a fan favorite. So the plot involves several gangs that have past ties to various Irish organized crime outfits, and they find out about a fortune that's being left by an elderly mob boss, and the various gangs competition to see who gets to it first. The Punisher, along with help with a couple of British MI6 agents who want to settle old scores themselves, try to get to the bottom of the mystery and wipe out as many criminals as they can along the way. The story brings together ex-IRA agents, a black Irish Rasta man, river pirates, and traditional Irish mob guys. So it's an interesting, if not completely original story. It's close to things you've probably seen in different, action, crime movies or Western movies before. It's kind of the trope of getting different warring gangs to play against each other. But here the story is told well, and there's kind of an interesting twist. And the gangs do sort of come together, but without giving away, the tale ends on kind of a satisfying conclusion. Garth Ennis' take on Frank Castle, the Punisher's, it's pretty interesting. His version of Frank is that Frank is not particularly noble or kind. His mission isn't really about keeping people safe. It's really about revenge or murder. At one point in this particular story, he says he had a pretty good time, a pretty good night because he got to shoot a number of criminals. Um, it's another story where the antagonists are terrible, irredeemable people, and Frank Castle really just looks good in comparison to these other horrible people. There is also an interesting speech or part where one character goes on a whole rant, though, about the Irish Troubles, which was this conflict back in the day between the IRA and the British government. So, okay, so just to show you, sorry, just to show you a little bit of the art, we got a really nice cover here by Tim Bradstreet. I want to say Tim Bradstreet was doing a lot of Hellblazer covers, either right at the same time or like right before he was doing covers for Punisher Max. But the art here is by Landro Fernandez. All right. Okay. So, okay. A lot of the art here is, I don't know, what I describe is kind of serviceable. Uh, he's decent with the figure work, decent with showing, people in realistic settings. It's not, super stupendous, not, too crazy or anything like that, but it definitely gets the job done. He's good at moving the story from panel to panel and from scene to scene, but it's not super dazzling or anything like that. But like I said, it is solid. It is a guy who knows how to draw. Okay, all right. He's okay at doing emotions, but then again, most of the people here are either really stoic or they're being angry and mean. So, uh, here's an example of some, how he goes from the sketches and layouts to the finished art. So that's pretty cool. Wowza. Okay. Alrighty. Okay. So, in conclusion, it's a fast paced story, solid action, lots of profanity, gore, various outlandish characters, lots of black humor, and kind of ambiguous morality. It's not particularly deep, but it is it is way fun. So that's it. Thank you very much for watching. I do appreciate it. You guys have a great day. Thanks.